I'm going to be teaching you some Demi Color Science makeup. I know it sounds so professional, but this color science makeup is very different. Most people look at their face and when they see redness, they immediately think the opposite color is green, and then they load their face with green. Have you ever seen that? It doesn't work because red is never really a true red unless you just popped a pimple on your face and it's fire red for a few minutes. Basically, we have dull reds in our face, and then we have some vibrancy reds in our face. And when they're dull reds, we actually need orange, right? I know, it's weird. And then if you have vibrancy to the red, which I have Demi right here, so let me just wipe this off. You would have never known I had anything there, right? That's got vibrancy, which means it's a purpley red, which means it needs yellow. So I'm going to teach that. First, though, I'm just going to throw on some other makeup real quick. Now that I have the majority of my makeup on, I'm just going to go in and use Demi for specific areas. I think that's the easiest way to learn it. Trying to do your whole face with it can be a little overwhelming, but once you get your contour on and cover most things, the majority of people have struggles with the under eyes. Maybe, let's just pretend like this is an acne scar. There's a little sunspot right here that I put my 3D on, but I can uncover it and put the Demi on it. And some sunspots on my forehead. Those are kind of the main things people struggle with, and they don't want to put a lot of makeup on. So the brushes on the SEINT site are the bright brush, the spot brush, because it gets the little spots. The bright brush, which is for bigger areas like the inner corners of your eyes, so that's nice. Then they both have a blending side if you get too much, because it's easy to use too much with Demi. You'll see you just need a little bit. And then I recently purchased this little brush. Here's an example of something that looks red, but it does have a little vibrancy to it, so it means it has a little violet in it, but it also has some dull redness in it, which is blue. And yellow orange is the opposite of those two colors. So I'm going to take the bright brush because it's a little bigger, get a little product on there. And here's the thing, you got to remember when you're using Demi, it's almost like you're erasing something. Pretend you're erasing, not covering. Because you're using opposite colors, it's going to filter that color out. Most of us have darkness in here, and this right here is blue. When you have something dark and shadow-like, you need an orange, and depending on how dark the blue is, you either need an orange level 1, see the saturation's low, and then this is orange 3, the saturation is higher, which means this is something for a light blue. This would be something for a darker blue. And I'm using the same brush because this is kind of a bigger area, but color on color. If you go off the color at all, that color will show up. If you put it right on the blue, it'll just make the blue disappear. See how bright that just got? Okay, this line though, right here, this bag line, see how it looks kind of muddy and dirty? That's brown, which means green and blue. So there's still a little more blue right here, and then I'll show you how to do the bag line. Remember that sunspots, being brown, have green and blue in them. So we're going to use a red orange, and we're going to use a saturation level 3 because it's a darker line. And then eventually this is going to go away. It's only limited edition, makes me sad. And we'll have to mix a straight orange with a straight red to get the color. But if you want this RO3 for sunspots and it's still on the site, grab it while you can. All right, here we go. We're going to take the same brush. I'm just going to get a little on there. And I'm actually, since the whole line is green and blue, I'm just going to trace the whole line, but stay very on the line. There's like 2 lines of green and blue. I'm doing just the tiniest bit of product at a time and trying to stick right on that bag line. And you can see my technique is very similar to when I do 3D makeup. Demi has taught me to use less 3D makeup and to target things the way I would do with Demi. Okay, so now these are some little brown spots. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna touch just those spots. Before we tackle those little brown spots, this little scar that I showed you in the beginning, I wiped it off and showed you what was underneath. This has some vibrancy to it, so it's a little bit on the purple side, but also on the blue side. And this yellow orange is the opposite of those. I'm going to show you how you just need a dot, and I'm just putting it right on the color. And if you saw me in public, you would never see makeup there because it just filters it and you would never know. This is RO3. That spot's a little bigger. I feel like I can touch it with this brush. Just softly erase that spot. Like that. This little area is just kind of swampy and muddy, so I'm just putting a little bit there. And you can see how it just starts to brighten up. This little swampy green area. Okay, there's kind of like that bag line. There's a little line right here of sun damage. You know how many sunburns we've had? Lots. We've had burns right here. So that's where that comes from. Then this is a vein, and this is a couple little dark spots. So I'll show you how I do that real quick, and then we're going to be done with this eye. And for those, I'm going to use that little tiny brush that I showed you. These little spots here that I cover the same way I do with my 3D makeup, I just target those with a little extra product. These are darker too, they're blue and green. I'm going to use the RO3 in this teeny tiny brush. The trick is to keep the color right on the color. I can see that being good too. That eye is done. I'm going to add a little bit of powder to it just because it's kind of bright here. You don't have to add powder to Demi. Demi is such a small amount of makeup and you're putting color on color that you don't get the creasing that you can get with anything else. I just want you to see the difference between the 2 eyes. All right, I'm not going to do that because I'm running out of light, but I am going to show you some sunspots. I know this is really up close, but now you can see how good that eye looks. Dang. All right, as my dog barks. Here's the sunspots, and I know it was hard to see them far away. That's why I wanted to zoom in. And here's the thing about sunspots. They can be a little weird. Like, they've just got that kind of that color to them that makes them a little reddish. I know, it's weird. All right, so I'm going to take the Y01, the yellow orange one, and watch this. We're just going to erase it and see how when you get too much, you just flip over your brush. Let's erase that. Okay, for some spots, see how that looks like a shadow? That means blue. So I have orange, and I'm just going to erase that little blue spot with the orange. See how it just completely disappeared? Now I just wanted to show you the difference. If you have sunspots that look a little bit reddish, then you're going to need something yellow-orange. And if you see something that looks like a shadow, you're gonna need something just orange. And then if you see something that looks swampy, like that is a vein, then you know you need a red-orange because that's got green and blue. And so you need the opposites of that. Hopefully I said all that right. Did I say red-orange? I did. Okay. I hope that's helpful. I can do more Demi videos in the future. They're hard to do live because of this situation, trying for me to see, for you to see. This is an old scar, so it's got more blue in it too. And now it's gone. You would never know it was there. Okay, I'm gonna zoom back out so you can see the difference between the 2 eyes. And if you have any questions about Demi or need any help with Demi, I'll tell you the main colors I recommend for Demi are those colors I just showed you. Thanks for watching. Reach out if you have any questions.